The house was just as I remembered, a tall, lonely, and half hidden behind a forest of overgrown trees. The paint was chipped, the windows dusty, and the porch sagged slightly, as if exhausted from holding itself up for decades. I really shouldn't have gone back there alone, but the house had been left to me after my grandmother's passing, and someone needed to check its condition. As I unlocked the front door, that old familiar smell rushed out to greet me, a blend of wood, humidity, and something I could never quite identify, something cold. Inside, everything was frozen in time, furniture untouched, pictures slightly tilted. The grandfather clock was silent, but its pendulum was still hanging mid-swing, and even though no one had lived there for years, the air felt charged, heavy as if someone had been waiting. I tried to laugh it off. It was just an old house. Old houses creak, they settle, they breathe in their own way. But then, from the hallway, a soft thud echoed. Just one, a slow, intentional tap, like a fingertip on the wall. I froze where I stood. That hallway was always the coldest part of the house. My grandmother used to keep it closed, and she would slap my hand whenever I tried to wander there alone as a child. "It's not for you," she used to say. "It belongs to something else." Back then, I thought she was just superstitious. Now, standing there, I wasn't so sure. I spent the first hour walking through the house, checking for leaks, testing lights, and trying to convince myself that I was imagining the strange heaviness in the air. But as the sun began to set, the house changed. The colors faded, the shadows stretched, and the silence became so thick that I could hear my own breathing echoing in my ears. While I was unpacking in the living room, the hallway door, long swollen from years of humidity, began to creak open on its own. Very slowly. It was as if someone on the other side had gently pushed it, just enough to look at me. I walked toward it, telling myself it was just the draft. But halfway there, I felt something pass behind me. Not a breeze, not a shift in the floorboards. Something tall, something slow, something aware of me. I turned instantly, expecting to see someone standing there, but there was nothing. Just the empty living room, the dusty furniture, and the faint sound of the clock's gears clicking, even though it hadn't worked for years. And then, a whisper, a soft, breathy whisper, right next to my ear. Back again. My blood ran cold. I spun around, heart pounding, but the house was silent, completely still. That was the moment I considered leaving, but I didn't, and I regret that more than anything. By nightfall, the house had become a different place entirely. The lights flickered every now and then, even though the wiring was supposedly new. The air felt colder. My footsteps echoed unnaturally loud, as if the rooms were bigger on the inside. I decided to sleep in the downstairs guest room closest to the front door, in case I needed to leave quickly. Yet, as I lay in bed, I could hear the hallway floorboards creaking. One step, pause, another step, slow, heavy, like someone dragging their feet across the old wood. I held my breath. The steps continued, moving toward the guest room. I grabbed my phone, but it wouldn't turn on. Dead. Even though I'd charged it earlier. Everything went silent. Then a knock. On the door. Not loud, not frantic. A patient knock. A knock from someone who knew I was awake, listening, terrified. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The doorknob slowly twisted, stopped, then twisted the other way. Stopped again. After a few seconds, something slid across the floor outside, like nails dragging, and then I heard it. That same whisper from earlier, but deeper this time. "You left me." I closed my eyes tightly, praying for morning. When dawn broke, the house felt lighter, almost normal again, but I knew now without a doubt that I wasn't alone, and I needed answers. I searched the house top to bottom, looking for signs of an animal, an intruder, anything logical, but what I found was much worse. In my grandmother's room, inside her old wardrobe, hidden behind boxers, I discovered a small wooden chest. Inside were letters, old, yellowed, tied with ribbon. They were addressed to my grandmother, from my grandfather, the grandfather I had never met. As I read them, my hands trembled. He wrote about seeing a man in the hallway, a man-shaped shadow without eyes, a presence that stood by the door every night, whispering. He begged my grandmother to leave the house with him. He said the presence wanted him specifically. The final letter ended abruptly. "It stood behind me last night. I felt its hand on my shoulder. If something happens to me, don't let Daniel come here. He listens for Daniel." That was the last letter. My grandfather died in that house 2 days later. A heart attack, they said. But now, I wasn't so sure. My name is Daniel. That night, everything escalated. While I was rereading the letters, the temperature dropped instantly, as if someone had opened a freezer door behind me. My breath fogged. Then the hallway door slammed shut. Hard. The entire house shook. I rushed to the living room, but something stopped me at the threshold. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally, as if a presence was pressing its thoughts into my mind. "You came back for me." I stumbled backward, clutching my head. The shadows in the hallway began to shift. Not flicker shift, like something large was moving slowly through them. A figure emerged. Tall, bent, wrong. Its arms were too long, its head tilted unnaturally, and where its eyes should have been, there were only deep, hollow impressions, like someone had pressed their thumbs into soft clay. It stepped toward me. The floorboards groaned under its weight. I ran. The front door wouldn't open. The latch was jammed. The knob wouldn't turn. Behind me, the presence whispered, "You left me once. You will not leave again." Its cold hand brushed my shoulder, and in that moment, I understood. It wasn't my grandfather it had wanted. It was me. It always had been. With pure desperation, I threw my weight against the door. It cracked, splintered, and finally burst open. Cold night air flooded in as I ran out into the yard, sprinting toward my car without looking back. Just as I reached the driver's side, I heard it behind me, a deep, echoing whisper carried by the wind. I never left. I sped away, heart pounding, hands shaking, until the house disappeared from my mirror. I didn't stop driving until sunrise. I never returned to that house. I never sold it. I never set foot on the property again. But some nights, when everything is quiet, when the room is dark, and the air grows colder for no reason, I hear it. A soft knock, 3 taps, slow, patient, just like before. And sometimes when I am too afraid to move, I hear the whisper right behind me, "I am still here," because some presences never leave. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe for more.